Okay, so for the Dacia, whatever, you take your pry tool and you're just working around the edges of the frame. Start at the bottom, it gets a bit easier to hook it along under the bottom. And then just work your way around like that. I'll just have a load of little clips along the edge there like that. So you're just working that bit free. Next part, you're just working the rest of the piece out. So the same thing as you're running your pry tool underneath it. And slowly popping out each of the clips. Like that. And then you get it all the way down. Like this. You just disconnect the hazard light and locking plug, which is just a push tab. Push it down, pull it out. I'm going to be removing each of these air vents, and you can see on the back those push tabs. You push those in to pop the whole vent piece out. So we do that with both of these, and we also do it for the hazard and the lock button. Okay, so we just get those loose. Just pops out like that. Same thing for that one. You just push all these tabs in, push them all in nice and tight so the whole thing pops out. There we go. And we don't need this piece anymore, so we can discard this piece. Keep it safe somewhere else. And then we need a T20 screwdriver or a T20 drill bit to get these screws. 4 of these. We're pulling the stereo out, disconnecting the plugs on the back, pushing down on all the tabs, just push down on them to pop them out. Remove the stereo. Going to take your harness included. First, you're going to plug in the CAN bus box, so both sides have to be plugged in. That has to be done before you plug it into the car, ideally. So you plug your box in, and then you're plugging this harness into the plugs here. Like so. Don't forget your little grey one as well. That's going into this grey plug here. This piece is for the radio antenna. So you're going to use the antenna adapter, little patch lead like this. That one's going to plug in here. Like this. And we're going to put our Wi-Fi antenna. This is so the internet gets the unit gets its own internet supply. It's optional, but I always connect everything anyway, even if we're not going to use it. And that just sticks down onto a flat surface on the back here. Anywhere really, as long as it's a flat surface, it won't come loose. And same thing for your GPS antenna, which is this little black box. So sticking that down on a flat surface as well. Also got your 2 USB cables. I like to put these in the glove box down here, but you can put them anywhere you like, really. You might want to pop them out one of the little black holes here. Pop one of these pieces out so they can be poking out. That's an option. But the simplest way is just to pass them through the glove box. This, 2 of those. Just leave those plugs, USB plugs, in the glove box. The last thing to plug in is your microphone. So for this, I like to remove the clip piece and the muffler, put them to one side for now. And then I like to pass this end, so the connector end of the microphone cable, pass it up through underneath the steering wheel and up to the stereo hole. So you pass it through like that and pull it through. Some cars it's a bit tight, but this one's nice and easy. There's lots of space to pull that wire through. Okay, so I've pulled it through, and then you're just going to connect it to the microphone hole on this harness. You can see it labeled mic. Just going to plug that in. That's ready there with the rest of the cables. As for the other end of the microphone, this part, I'm just going to run it underneath the steering wheel and then up the side of the car, up to the A-pillar. Now that the microphone's in place, we can grab our frame, the head unit, and we need to fit the hazard button and the lock switch. From the back, we're just going to push that into its spot. And we also need to plug our air vents in as well. Push both of those vents back in. Nice and carefully, not to break anything. Push both back in, so they're working normally. And then what we want to do is we need to grab the clips from this one. So all these clips around the edges, we're going to pop those off, take them all off, and put them in the corresponding spots on this one so that it can clip in. And they should all push onto the new frame in the exact same places. When it's all in, we can go ahead and plug everything in. The big black plug is the main one. Should be fairly obvious where that goes. The GPS and Wi-Fi, the GPS black box should be plugged into the one marked GPS. The other one plugged into the one marked Wi-Fi. So the long flat one should be plugged into Wi-Fi. These ones, you turn them to screw them into place. And finally, you should plug in your 5G adapter, 4G adapter, sorry, which is this little one. That should be plugged into the 4G spot. And don't forget your radio antenna cable. That should be plugged into the antenna spot, so you can get radio. Now the last little yellow piece, this is for plugging in a reverse camera. Even if you're not using a reverse camera, plug it in anyway, as it likes to know it's been plugged in. If you don't use it, it doesn't matter, but make sure you do plug it in. And if you are connecting a reverse camera, that's the one it plugs into. So everything should be plugged in now. Ready to go. So we're going to turn the car on, give it a test. Make sure this small one with 8 pins, that's for the CAN bus to make the steering wheel controls work. Make sure that's plugged in. Sometimes people miss that one. And if the steering wheel controls aren't working, it's probably because you forgot to plug this one in. So make sure that goes in as well. Okay, that's everything. You can cable tie these together, tape them together, make them nice and tidy. Or they will just sit behind the unit like that. So it's normal. So we're going to turn it on. Give it a test run. Now you need to plug these clips, push them all the way in around the edges. I've noticed sometimes on this model, it's difficult to push it in all the way. It may get stuck, it may not go back a certain amount. And in some models, it's actually due to this part up here, not sitting flat against the dash. So if this happens, you'll need to take a pair of snips and you'll need to cut some of the plastic up here, just a little bit, so it can sit flat and push completely all the way in. So it doesn't happen with all the models, it's just with some models this can happen. So don't be afraid to just snip a tiny bit of plastic up here, just to make sure it's sitting flat. If you have a filing tool, you can file it just to make sure it looks clean after. Just be careful and cut it carefully and it will look good. But hopefully you don't need to. And it's ready to go. So the first thing you want to do when you're setting it up is, if you press the spinny globe, opens up the apps. You want to find car setting up here. So the car setting app, you want to go system settings, factory settings, and the passcode is 1617. When you've done this, you need to find CAN type set. And this is where you're setting the CAN bus to know which car, so the unit knows which car it's been installed into. So you're choosing your car off the list. If you're not sure what provider you've got, you need to look on the back of the CAN bus box. It's normally Raise, Highworld, one of these top ones, and it will have it written on the CAN bus box. Or if you're not sure, just message us and we'll confirm which one you have. So it's usually Raise or Highworld. So you go into Raise and you find which car you've got. I can see Dacia here, Dacia Duster, Sandero. So we're going to choose this. So in this case, I've got a Highworld box. So I've chosen Highworld, Dacia Sandero or Duster. And now you can see the steering wheel controls are working. When I press them, the volume's going up. So that's how you do the steering wheel. Now that's set up, you can Bluetooth your phone. This little phone is the Bluetooth menu. You can change the name of the Bluetooth. I like to change it to the name of the car. So I'll change it to Sandero. Oh, I'll change it to Dacia or whatever. Dacia. And then we can find this on our phone and connect to the unit. When it's connected to the unit, we can start the CarPlay with this blue one, Z-Link. So find Z-Link on the list of apps. It's usually at the end, and that will be your CarPlay app. As well as CarPlay, you've got all these other apps on here for offline navigation, YouTube, Play Store.